Shalom, this is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries. It is now Monday night, October 30th, now the beginning of the 11th day of the 8th Hebrew month. And I just wanted to share a testimony. I just got finished with the gym because as my practice is, I work from 8 to 5 and then I go straight to the gym and I do some swimming. But I was in the sauna, and as I was in the sauna, there was this Chinese Asian woman talking with this guy about Christianity. And I happened to mention that I was a Messianic, that I believe that we still should keep Torah out of a love for Yahshua. Well, she began to ask me one question after another about my beliefs, and I explained to her very clearly, Matthew 5, where, Jesus, Yahshua said, I come not to abolish the Torah, but I come to show you how to properly obey it out of a heart of love. And as I began to answer her question, she got really agitated because she was this Christian that she basically believed that Yahshua shed his blood so that she would no longer have to do the Torah, that she was set free from it because he fulfilled it, right? So as I began to press more and more about what Hebrews 8 meant and what Jeremiah 31 and Matthew 5, and I showed that no, if you use the blood of Jesus, of Yahshua, to justify rebellion to the Torah, you're actually using his sacrifice to do the very opposite of what the gospel teaches. That the gospel teaches very clearly that he shed his blood and died and rose again so that we would have the power to obey his Torah and to obey it perfectly out of a love for him, that he gives us an inward desire to obey every single law in Torah that's possible to be kept in our modern day culture. Well, she got really upset and I kept pressing it, and there were about 8 or 9 other people in the sauna. And she finally got so upset she raced out of the sauna room, and every single person raced out as well. Well, then the manager comes into the sauna and he's like, hey, I just got 3 complaints and you can't be doing this. And I said, look, she asked me questions, I just was answering. And he said, well, if someone asks you questions, you need to just tell them that you'll answer it outside because I can't have this. You offended so many people. And it's like, okay. Well, as soon as he left, another guy sitting next to me, a younger guy, he kind of looked like a younger version of Matthew McConaughey, the actor. He started saying, well, why was she so upset? So then he started asking me about my testimony. So I started sharing with him again about Torah, about how the New Testament's about, loving him. And then he said, well, sum up your religion in like a couple sentences. And I said, well, the unique thing about what I believe is that it's the only religion in the world, when you completely surrender your heart to Yahshua, to Jesus, and you obey him through his Spirit, it's the only religion in the world that completely eradicates selfishness in your life. Every human being on the face of the earth, all 7 billion human beings, are either righteous or wicked. And the only way to be righteous is to completely surrender your heart to Yahshua, to be covered by his blood, to be filled with the Spirit, and to start obeying his word, his Torah. Well, he had a big problem with that because he was one of these people that believes that, everyone can find their own way and everyone's right. So I said, no, the only way. And I even said, and he said, well, what makes your religion unique? I said, well, if everyone lived the way I'm living, if everyone lived loving God with everything in them and loving their neighbors themselves, we'd have universal peace. You would have no war, no crime. You'd never have to lock your car. If everyone lived the way I live, or the way any true lover of Yahshua lived, we'd have no more problems anymore. And he got really upset. And then he started mocking me instead of saying, well, I guess I better prepare for the lake of fire. And I just say, why do you hate Jesus? Why do you hate Yahshua? And he got so upset, he left. And then another 6 or 7 people had drifted in during that time. Then they all left. So I was thinking, oh boy, the manager's going to come again. But the manager never came. He actually walked by the sauna and he just eyed me, but he never did anything. So once again, even though I did 2 major street preachings right in the middle of 24-hour fitness, I have the promise of Philadelphia. Yah opens a door that no man can shut. And so even when I preach hard, they still won't throw me out. So I'm just sharing this as a testimony, encouragement. Don't be afraid. You speak up for the truth. When people are asking you about your testimony, questions, you don't be afraid, and you stand up for the Messiah, and you stand up for his Torah and the true gospel. And I know most Americans, even most Christians, hate the gospel, and that's why God hates the United States so much. And that's why God's about to bring this nation to destruction. But we as Philadelphians are still faithful to proclaim his word, even if they reject it. This is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries, website spiritandtorah.com. Shalom.